in the realm of living in grace, which we are fortunate to live during this time in history, where we are able to be blessed by the very grace of God. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the concept of developing our confession, because it's very important that we have a right confession, because if we don't, we can find ourselves living in the muck and the mire of doubt and despair and being unsure of our eternal destination. And so while I was thinking about this, I came upon Romans chapter 10. And when I finished reading it, I went, wow, that just absolutely just lays it out for us. Beginning with the verse of Scripture that simply says this, that being uninformed of God's righteousness, they have developed their own righteousness. I remember back when I was doing this series of studies called The Fundamentals of Spiritual Life, one of the things that I came very, very much aware of is the fact that righteousness has to be defined, because if we don't find a good definition of righteousness, then we'll find ourselves going off into our own accord, understanding this, that righteousness is based upon God and God being right. He is the standard of righteousness. He is the standard that helps us to understand what is right and what is wrong. Now, God gave us the law, but yet here in this scripture, we find that he tells us in verse number 4, chapter 10 of Romans, that Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. Now, if I've left you a little confused here, I haven't done it intentionally. Let me help to clarify. Scripture says, according to the New Testament, that Jesus, who came to earth, deity, but also in the form of the veil of flesh. He became flesh, the Scripture says, and dwelt among us. Talks about it in the book of Hebrews, how that Jesus became one who also understood the infirmities of living in this veil of flesh, or this body, this human body, so that he would understand and comprehend what we endure in living in this body, and also the whole realm of living in a sinful world. He experienced it all, but he did not fall prey to it. And he did not allow himself to become sin. To say this, that he overcame sin. And because he overcame sin and didn't find himself subject to sin because he never sinned, he fulfilled the law. And so now, we don't look to the law as being our guiding light. We look to Christ because he fulfilled it. He now becomes our example. And not only that, the Scripture says that he becomes our advocate before the Father, because he took our place because of our sinful nature. Fascinating study. We'll continue it on tomorrow's broadcast. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.